Good days and there are bad days. And there are circumstances that come to us that will challenge us deeply enough that any one of us in this room could slide into a trough, right? And there are circumstances that could enable any one of us to rise again, right? And resiliency is one of those circumstances, one of those elements that can enable us to rise again. So, classic American Psychological Association definition of resilience: the capacity to adapt healthily, to adapt well in the presence of stress or trauma. Capacity to adapt well. What does that look like? Here's the story of Yitzak Perlman. As many of us know, Yitzak Perlman, world-famous violinist, suffered polio as a young boy. And to see Mr. Perlman perform is often a bit of a moment to watch him come onto stage. What we see him do is, schlep himself across the stage on his crutches. He awkwardly gets into the chair in the center of the stage. He removes one leg brace and then the other, settles his leg, settles himself, and then is often handed his violin, and he begins. And so one day, not so long ago, in New York City, this is exactly what happened. The audience was there to watch the symphony perform, and Mr. Perlman was the guest performer, and he makes his way across the stage, schlepping on his crutches. He gets to the chair, lays the crutches down, takes off the right leg brace, and then the left, and is handed his violin, and begins to play. And about 3.5 minutes into the performance, the audience heard that ping, which could only mean that one of the violin strings had broken. And according to Jack Reamer from the Houston Chronicle, which is how we have this story, the audience did a sort of collective, oh man, he's gonna have to put on the left leg brace and the right leg brace and pick up the crutches and go off, pick up another violin or another string. But that night, that's not what happened. Mr. Perlman closed his eyes, got quiet for a moment, opened his eyes, signaled to the conductor, and began to play. And he played the entire symphonic work on 3 strings. And according to Mr. Reamer, you could actually see him moving ahead in his mind to figure out how to tune and detune and retune the notes so that the themes that he would be picking up later on would be familiar enough so that everybody knew what they were listening to, but also new, true to the moment, just brand new, spontaneous, alive in that moment, completely fresh. And he worked the thing so hard for the entire concert that by the time he was done, that audience was up on its feet, hooting and hollering like it was a major sporting event, beside themselves with gratitude and appreciation, just completely blown away. And after they had finally quieted down, Mr. Perlman again closed his eyes, raised his bow to the audience, and said the following: sometimes, as an artist, we have to figure out how to make music with the 3 strings we have left. Sometimes, as artists, we have to figure out how to make music with the 3 strings we have left. Now, most of us in this room are old enough to know that we are operating on only 3 strings.